swear to God, if we beat Brighton, I will tweet Moyes in. I will say Moyes in.
Clip this.
If you beat us, I reckon you might win the league, you know. Go for a Brighton win, just to be a bit more optimistic and not pessimistic. I'm going to go with 2-1 Brighton. 2-1 Brighton.
Oh, play the Lumbo!
2-1 Brighton.
Who's with him?
2-1 Brighton.
You just remember, mate, you don't play Bournemouth every week, pal, okay? You've got other teams to play.
We'll come to Liverpool, trust me.
Don't you be doing that chess because you beat Bournemouth, sunshine. You got fixtures to come, starting with this weekend, when this man, oh, there he is, up there, and his team will slap you to...
Here's Mo. Darwin, same area of the pitch! Oh! We fucking robbed them! We've absolutely smashed it! Smashing Magpies are known for stealing the tops off your milk, but this time it's the Liverbird that have stolen the 3 points! Come on, Liverpool! Come on, Darwin Núñez!
Hello and welcome to the reaction show. I can tell you one thing, there's no goosebumps tonight.
Yeah, in myself I'm okay, but I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming, I'm not even going to lie. Liverpool fans are walking away laughing today because they know they should have been on the back of a defeat. They know they should have been. But we didn't put them to the sword. Why? It's because our passing and keeping possession and our ability to kill the game off was not good enough.
And like people had us, didn't even have us in challenging for top 7. Didn't even have us anywhere near it. You clowns. Dan Potts, you clown. Billy, you clown. Errol, you're a clown. Dan United, you're a clown, mate. Yeah? All of you lot on 12th Man podcast, yeah? You're clowns. Put your red nose on and your green wig because you're clowns, mate. Yeah? Because we are contenders!
Oh my God.
Yeah, very good.
Love it.
That is fantastic.
What a guy.
Big up Sam Hart. Make sure you
Maz
go follow
and
Sam
Pete
Hart.
finally made their debuts. Welcome to the stories.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm not going to lie, I'm impressed.
Can I just say as well?
The problem with that is whenever that intro starts, we all do the same thing. We all go, oh fuck, what have they got?
I knew from last night, as soon as it started and they came up with load, I thought, what did I do? And I remember at the start of the show, I thought, fuck's sake.
Do you know what as well? Yeah, getting bantered for saying 2-1. We've beaten them 12 times in a row. I'm not going to say we're going to lose, am I? What's that all about?
No, you were wrong.
I was wrong. But 2-1 as well. Like, come on, it's not exactly how I said you were going to get battered 5-0 or something, was it? But yeah, it was an L. I'll take the L. It's fine.
Listen, we might as well start with it. I think we're going to start with Liverpool and Newcastle. Then we'll go into West Ham and Brighton. That's 4 down. And then me, Dan, and Billy will just leave it there, and we'll go home. I think that sounds good.
Hang on. I don't mind talking about the Villa game.
We will talk about Arteta's crazy system and the fact that Man United look a shambles still, but I've obviously got across the line. And Villa, fair play, man, because that was a very convincing win.
You dug in against Hibs, and your game plan came to fruition, and I mean, it's all to play for in the second leg, isn't it? Obviously, Billy. So we're not going to count our chickens just yet, mate.
Look, new manager bounce.
Christ almighty.
Listen, let's start with Errol, not Pete, because I'll let Pete just stew for a bit and chill for a bit. Mate, when it went 1-0, I feared the worst, bro. I feared the worst. I can't lie. I thought, no, Liverpool are done out here. Anthony Gordon and Trent on toast all game. Van Dijk goes down. It's 10 men. 1-0 Newcastle. I imagine you probably feared the worst as well. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. I'll ask you that. But I've got to say fair play, bro, because Darwin Nunez, a player I've said is a good player, and people have been calling a flop because they've been comparing him to Haaland. That was a fantastic couple of goals, man. Well taken couple of goals as well. I will say I haven't really learned anything from that game from Liverpool. Alisson is world class and has kept you in it yet again. Trent can't defend, but up top you're always dangerous. That's basically what I learned from Liverpool, and I knew that already. So Liverpool doesn't change for me. You need a centre half and a defensive midfielder still, but fair play, bro. You took 3 points off of a Newcastle side at St James's Park, and the worst thing to do is wind up Jurgen Klopp, because that's what they did, man, and it bit them. And we did it last season at Anfield, the Xhaka moment, tried to wind up the crowd at Liverpool, and then bang, it goes wrong. Talk to me, Errol.
Boy, do you know what? I'm not like last night. I had so much energy. I probably had a little bit too much energy to really like go in and say things. But after the heat of the moment and all dies down, I can't sit here and pretend that it was a great performance by Liverpool, because it wasn't. With 3 games in, and I said this, we did the watch along. You asked the question about 1-0. I thought it was going to be self-destruct settings. From that point, 1-0, Trent looked woeful. The defensive line looked shaky as anything, pretty much like it has done from day one. It also looked as though when Verge went, we was already, as a fan base, discussing whether it should be Gomez or Matip, and then all of a sudden now you've got both of them in, who, as fans, we don't really have a whole heap of trust in. And now both of them, I've got to see out the better part of a game together, which hasn't happened for a very long time. The new lads in midfield, again, not getting a fair crack at the whip, because all of a sudden now they're playing with a bit of a handicap and having to do extra jobs. So it just had all the hallmarks of, especially with St James's Park, where it was bouncing yesterday in the early exchanges, it had all the hallmarks of a really bad horror show afternoon for us. It could have been a disaster class from Liverpool, make no mistake about it. And I don't think, to a man, the lads played well in the opening 20-25 minutes. I don't think we started off bad, but I don't think there was much in it. But as you said, Anthony Gordon was absolutely roasting Trent all up the wing, like the entirety of that first half, really, and into the second half, until he started to flag a little bit. The thing I will say is, Trent's unlucky. He gets a yellow card, and I don't particularly think he deserved the yellow card in that instance, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think it's a really soft one to give him, considering it's him that receives the foul. No one really wants to highlight the fact that he was actually fouled. Gordon goes straight into the back of them and sends him off the pitch. At that point, Trent in his head knows it's a foul. He's off the pitch. If it's one of them, if you get knocked like that and the ball goes in front of you on the pitch, you probably just put your hand on the ball to stop the players. If to say, ref, hang on a minute, what's going on? The fact that he flies off the pitch, from my perspective, it didn't look like he had much vim throwing the ball back onto the pitch. So in that little exchange, for the refs to see him as a bit like dissent or whatever, throwing the ball, it just seemed daft. And from there, it just looked like he didn't really have much grip over the running of the game from a referee's perspective. And that's how we've ended up in a world of trouble. 3 games on the bounce. Still don't know any more about this Liverpool side. Still couldn't tell you how effective this midfield's going to be for us, because that's 2 games on the bounce now. They've not been able to see it out with 11 men. Where I will start to give a lot of praise for my team, especially, is the fact that we didn't just lie there and just take a piping from Newcastle. We decided, you know what, let's stay in this game. Let's stick in it. Let's see what we can get out of it. And the longer the game went on without Newcastle really putting us to the sword, which I was disappointed at, if I'm being completely honest with you. And again, no smoke at you, Pete. This is just for your team in general. The fact that, like, we can sit there and say that bad, but you're like, they've got that dog in them. You've got that dog in them when it's like they sense. And I thought, from after the first goal up until the second half, maybe about the 55-minute mark, I thought they could smell blood. It seemed to me that Newcastle could smell blood, and if there was another chance that was going to drop to them, fortune, they'd carve open another opportunity and they'd score. And that's how I felt it was going to be. But then after that 55-minute mark, Klopp, who doesn't get a lot of praise for his substitutions and in-game management, he had a masterstroke. And I'm normally one of them who doesn't particularly think it's all wholly effective sometimes, the substitutions and the in-game management myself. But for the first time in what seemed like ages, the substitutes made an impact and they all turned up for us and helped us kick on. I don't know if Newcastle were a little bit tired. I don't know what was quite going on. I don't know what Newcastle's tact was, if they just felt that they could hold out at 1-0. But ultimately, by the time that Darwin Núñez comes on, Gordon's off, Tonali's off the pitch, who were pretty much running things for Newcastle at the time. Soon as they was removed, Trent breathes a sigh of relief because he thinks, right, well, I'm going to stay on the pitch now until the end of the match. And all of a sudden, there's a bit of confidence in the way that Liverpool are playing. Jota holds the ball up very well. Harvey Elliott, another one, stepped up, delivered, made a little impactful performance from the middle of the park. And then all of a sudden, the ball drops to Darwin Núñez, two on the bounce. And for me, they're the type of strikes and finishes I want to see more from him, because he's an instinctive finisher. He doesn't want to be on the wing, having to take on 2-3 people, getting doubled up on, or having to be a press machine. No, he wants to be on the last man. He wants to be on the shoulder of him, and he wants to make those runs in behind. You play the ball in front of him, so he's only got the goal to aim at, and he is a finisher. He's got an absolute quality finish on him, and both of those chances were well executed for us yesterday. And he couldn't have come in a better time, really. It absolutely zapped the life out of Newcastle, and in what would have ordinarily been a shit afternoon when all of the other teams have seemed to get out of jail free cards, Liverpool managed to pull off the great escape as well. So thank fuck for that, man, because the internet's a cruel bastard of a place. And to be on the right side of the clipping, I am not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
Before I come to Pete, Lawless, let's come to you. Did you learn anything yesterday from Liverpool and Newcastle? What did you see from it, bruv? What did you take from it?
I don't know, man. Yeah, two shaky looking teams, man. Two shaky looking teams, to be honest. Newcastle obviously looked really good last season, but there's a little bit of some worrying signs there. I know Pete's probably going to say, it's just a bad day at the office. It's Liverpool, like last week was Man City, but when the Champions League football starts, right, and they're trying to have to play their strongest team, both competitions, Premier League and Champions League, you're making there was so many sort of bad errors in that game. And when the concentration starts to wane later in the season, exhaustion comes in. Yeah, I'd be worried for Newcastle. I predicted Newcastle to be quite up there, in terms of the table. I can't remember where I put them. It was definitely in the top 4. But yeah, I don't know, man. Questions have to be asked this season, and I don't know if they're looking to bring in any more players. But maybe they ought to, especially with that squad depth. So, boy, last week, me and LB, we tried to sort of say, maybe it wasn't just a bad day at the office against Man City, and maybe it wasn't just Man City. And we did say if it happens against Liverpool, questions need to be asked. Let's ask the questions. Let's get the answers.
Pete, over to you, bro. I listen, it's one game. Everyone goes on about one game. But I've got to question Eddie Howe here a bit, if I'm honest. And I don't normally, because I think he's done exceptional. I didn't get the subs, man. I didn't get the subs. I thought the subs were poor. I actually thought Gordon was a problem. And I understand that Barnes is fresh legs. I get that. But there must have been a better option for me. How did you see it, bro?
Honestly, it's not often we agree, Errol and Lawless and myself, but I can't disagree with anything that they've said. Genuinely, everything that you boys have just said with regards to Newcastle is what I was saying either during the game and certainly after it. It was a hard one to take. It was, because we had it in our hands. We had the game. The game was there. But I'm really disappointed with the team and how we executed our game plan, because that's not the Newcastle United that I've seen in the last year. That performance on Sunday. First 25, I'll agree, Errol. We were the better team. Gordon was exceptional. That's what he's been doing for the England under 21s. He's been doing that in pre-season. He's taken it into the league season now. He has started really well for us, and he had Trent on toast, as Pot said. Look, the yellow card, it's neither here nor there. He probably, if it was my team and Trent. And it was Trippier, for example, that got a yellow card for throwing the ball away. I'd be pissed at that. I think the second one was a yellow card. I know you argue about the shoving the back and all the rest of it with regards to the first one, but the second one was definitely yellow. But look, it's I don't even know where to start really. I think with Eddie Howe, I think you're absolutely right, Potts. It's the first time that I've actually questioned him in his decisions, and his subs were really poor. Not because he made the subs; it's about who he subbed.
Do you know his record against Klopp's awful?
Yeah,
I didn't realise his record against.
You've got to remember, Errol. The majority of that is at Bournemouth.
Well. Yeah, it is. I think there's like 7 at Bournemouth and now 3 at Newcastle or something.
So I'm not holding on too much to that. But
the subs were an air of naivety, I think, weren't they, Pete?
It wasn't. It wasn't naivety. They were the wrong subs. Those subs that he made are the subs that are normally his go-tos, and he normally makes those subs. Tonali is normally the one that comes off. Barnes is a straight swap for Gordon. Longstaff he was clearly not fit, not match fit. He came on and really didn't adjust to the pace at all. They're his go-tos, his natural subs, but they were wrong. Sandro Tonali was running that midfield practically on his own. He was unbelievable. His start, he's been so good this season. I know he dipped a level at Man City, but against Villa, against Liverpool, quality performance. Why take him off? He didn't even look tired.
Yeah, I agree.
He could have played the rest of the game. And Gordon started to tire. He was still 2 minutes before he got subbed off. He was still running at Trent and causing him problems. For me, I'd have took Miguel Almiron off and played Barnes on the right hand side. That in my mind, I'm thinking they are the natural subs that we needed to make. Now, he got that wrong. He won't admit that, but he will know that he got that wrong, and that's the first time that I've gone, nah, I don't agree with that. And that's a long time to not agree with the manager on the decision he's made. But I didn't agree with the decisions that.
Do you know what seems strange? Do you know what seems strange to me as well, Pete? Is considering where Newcastle are as a cohesive squad that seems to be. You might not say you can take away the projection of where the project is meant to be going and how far ahead of it. You can take all that aside in terms of just like a good football team that play with each other, understand how each other play, have got additions that have kind of definitely will take you on and help you kick on as an overall squad for the season. You look at it and you think to yourself, I was sitting there thinking, they should have us beat. They should put us to the sword in the second half. They should. It's theirs for the taking. It's theirs to lose.
You're telling me everything that I already know, and that's the point. That was the next part that I was going to go on to. It was the way in which we executed the game plan. Yes. It was shocking. Honestly, it was so bad. And I've listened to Eddie Howe after the game, and even he is saying that he wanted them to go for the throw. He wanted them to end the game. He wanted them to push for the next goal, and they didn't do it. So my question is, why didn't they? Because I tell you what, for long parts of that second half, for any of you that watched the game, it was boring as hell. All they did was just play the ball across the back line, back and forth, and then they play into midfield and play it across the midfield line, back and forth. There was no execution of wanting to actually score the second goal and kill the game. Go back 2 weeks, that's exactly what we did to Villa. And we went for the throat and we destroyed them off the back of that. And that's been the hallmark of why we had such a great season last season. So I'm thinking to myself, if that's what Eddie Howe wanted, why did the players not execute that? I've got no idea. And that's the baffling thing about it. But that came from the first half as well. And I've got to say, a lot of people said, it was a bad second half. No, elements of that second half, of that first half were poor. The amount of times that we hustled and harried you guys to win the ball back whether it was higher up the pitch, whether it was while you're on the counter-attack, Tonali, Joe Linton, Trippier, all those boys harrying and like giving everything to win the ball back. And within 3 touches, we're just giving it back to you. And I was like, we can't even hold on to possession. We did that at Man City and we were shocking with it. And now I'm seeing it again. And I'm thinking, this is not normal. Like, this is not okay. And we need to be able to hold possession and be comfortable with it. And for some reason, we're just not. And it's not even one player. There was a number of players that were just giving the ball away time and time again. We did it more so in the second half, which is where you started to come back into it. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, right, how many subs have Liverpool got? Because I'm wishing for one player not to come on the pitch, and it's Núñez. I did not want him to come onto the pitch because we completely handled Gakpo. We completely handled Jota. Luis Diaz, until he got subbed, was your most dangerous player. And then you subbed him, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, happy days. Like, he's gone, he's off. And I think everyone in the stands was shocked that he got taken off. But then you're thinking, shit. And it goes back to the point that you made last week. You've got the strongest front line, probably in the Premier League in terms of numbers. You think, who else have they got? Fucking Núñez. You know Núñez is going to stretch us. Now, look, the first goal was incredibly unlucky. Like, I'm not going to blame Botman for that. He fucking bounced off him and fell right into fucking Núñez's path. Botman was outstanding and has been all season so far. But it was a superb finish. The second one, that's the issue that I've got. And it's more of a bigger issue because it's all right Botman getting injured and slotting Burn into that centre-back role, but that's where I started to panic. And I thought, if there's going to be one winner, it's going to be Liverpool. Because, like, I don't know about you boys, but Burn had lead in his boots the whole game. Like, Salah was leaving him time and time again in the first half and again in the second half. And when he went into centre-back role and he's up against Núñez, you're just thinking, please don't fucking do it. Don't put a ball in him behind because he's going to leave him for dust. And that's exactly what happens. And again, 2 great finishes win the game. And yeah, I'm scratching my head a little bit because I don't really know where we're going to go next. Lawless asked the question about signings. After Lewis Hall, who's not up to match fitness yet, and he needs to quickly because he needs to get into that left-back role as soon as possible. I don't actually know. I think Howe said, based on how bad Botman's injury is, will determine whether we go back into the market or not. And apparently it's not serious. So whether he's back for Saturday or not, I don't know. He might be back after the international break. But you're right. I think we need to really dip into the market. I think there's a couple of places we need to secure. Centre-back, we need another strong centre-back. We need a number 6. We are missing a traditional number 6 because none of our midfield 3 have a traditional number 6. I've said it on our channel before. Casemiro at Real Madrid, Fabinho at Liverpool, Busquets at Barcelona. You go through the teams, the top teams, Rodri at Man City. Every top team that has their moments at the top end of European football has a traditional quality number 6, and we don't have one. And if we're going to be, whether it's now or in the future, going to be pushing to push those elite teams, we need one.
Pete, with the signings, are you able to? Because obviously it was a loan bringing Lewis Hall. I know I don't know too much. Is the FFP not an issue there? Because we've
got players that could potentially going out. So Besiktas are linked with Jamal Lascelles. Isaac Hayden's having a medical at Luton. We're trying to get Ryan Fraser's already gone to Southampton. We're trying to get rid of Jeff Hendricks, if you know who he is. I've forgotten. But we're trying to get rid of him because he's on 60 grand a week. Can you believe it? At Newcastle, which is ridiculous. Ryan Fraser was on 70 grand. Ryan Fraser was on fucking 70 grand at Newcastle. Absolute madness. Ashley Simon. Anyway,
refreshing to see this Pete again, by the way. I haven't seen this guy since Mike Ashley. It's very refreshing to see this side of you once again, Pete. It's been a long time.
Lawless. The one thing I've always said is that I'm honest. Like, if I feel like I back the team, I back the team. But actually, that performance yesterday albeit we controlled most of the game up until the last stages and lost it at the end. I still wasn't happy with that performance. That's me personally. Other Newcastle fans will tell you different. But I'll tell you, and I'll be honest with you, when I think it's good. I'll question how when I need to question it. I questioned the sub yesterday. They weren't good enough. And they were the wrong subs to make. And all I'm hoping from this is that this is a fucking huge learning curve. Because like you said, Lawless, and like I said, it's very rarely I agree with you. When the Champions League comes around, we are going to be playing 2 massive games a week. Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. Can we as a squad hold that up? That is the big question.
On that quickly, right? I looked at your subs bench. You got Dubravka, Lascelles, Jacob Murphy, Elliot Anderson, Sean Longstaff. Now, I understand that you brought on Wilson, Target, and Barnes from that as well, and obviously Anderson and Longstaff. That could be where you got your downfall in terms of the Champions League. And I think this is why I've actually got you in the top 4, and I don't think yesterday changes that personally. But I do think that is where you still need to dip into the market, and you mentioned it earlier on. I don't know who you're going to get, what positions, but surely you can upgrade on Lascelles. Surely you can upgrade on Jacob Murphy. Surely you can upgrade on potentially Sean Longstaff. They're the sort of areas for me. As much as they've done well for you up to now, that's when you need to go to that next level for me, man.
Can I say something on Liverpool as well? Yeah, like as much as we've leveled like how shit we are at the minute, and how much hasn't been fixed in the transfer window, and on all points I've got the valid to an extent. Liverpool have played 3 games. We drew it away with Chelsea, opening game of the season. We've won our other 2. Where we haven't finished it in the last 90 odd minutes, 180 minutes, we haven't finished the game with 11 men on the pitch yet. We've only seen that midfield. I said it yesterday. Most of the teams now have been able to operate with their preferred 11 at least once so far this season. They've been able to at least field their manager's preferred 11 in one form or another. We haven't yet.
That's not our fault.
I'm not saying that it is your fault, but what I'm trying to highlight,
Errol, watching it yesterday, I felt for you guys a little bit yesterday, because you look at the bookings. Joe Linton got away with so much.
Well, I'm not bothered about
so much. I couldn't believe it. Did he end up getting booked? I know Trippier did. I think he only had one book in Newcastle. It was like,
I'm surprised. Joe Linton got 12 bookings for his last season. 12 or 13. I'm shocked.
What I meant to say is simply we're nowhere near the level that we would expect for ourselves to be at this point of the season. Lawless made a joke about it the other day. Said, "Oh, the season doesn't start yet. Pre-season goes on to at this rate it fucking does." But the reality is, Liverpool have already bagged 7 points, and we're still within touching distance in terms of being the best of the rest. If we're able to get a cohesive side together and we're actually starting to gel, I genuinely see us being back towards the top of the chasing pack by October, November this season, if things go the way that they should. Not saying it's definitely going to happen.
You need two players, Errol. Centre backs, defensive midfielder.
It could happen, and that's a worry.
Oh yeah, no, it could happen. But I'm saying if it doesn't, you won't. I don't think you'll compete.
Looking the best that they've looked in the last God knows how many years, at home, buoyant, buzzing, awaiting Champions League football, can't put possibly one of the one of the weaker Liverpool sides that have rocked up there in as many years to bed. That's going to be a problem for the rest of the big boys in the Premier League this season, by all accounts.
I think Klopp. I mean, I'm not Klopp's biggest fan, but I got to say, yesterday, watching it, I watched it, and I thought the longer this stays at 1-0, Klopp's going to turn the screw here. And as soon as he brought Núñez on, I think I said in the chat, he's gonna bag it. And Núñez, he looked like he had a point to prove. He looked angry, and I think as a striker, if you're playing a striker who's looking angry, you're in trouble. And the emotion that I hate Liverpool, we know this, but I felt so happy for him yesterday. And that's not a dig at Pete, that's not a dig at Errol. He's a striker that I've said on this show, in pre-season, I think it's a big season for him this season. And I think this is the turning point for Núñez. He's got a big game this weekend. He's got to back it up, and he's got to follow it up. Yesterday, he actually looked, I know he was only on the pitch for 15 minutes, he looked like a Premier League striker. He was strong. He chased everything. His finishing, the 2 finishes, they tried to say in the studio that Pope could have done better with the first. Load of bollocks. Pope had no chance with both. They were really, really good finishes. So for Liverpool, I know you've got Gakpo, I know you've got Jota, I know you've got Salah, you've got Diaz. give this boy a chance to cook now because I think he's ready. I do.
Why?
I've always liked him, man.
Why? Because at the minute he's the fixture. What looks apparent for Liverpool fans is Klopp's
Might not need to start him if he keeps doing that.
No, but Klopp's going to do whatever he needs to do to get Cody Gakpo in that starting 11. He started every game so far. 2 games he started in midfield, not his prepared position. He's taken the spot away from Jota today and dropped Jota down onto the bench. So Klopp is going to do the utmost to get Gakpo in that starting 11 one way or another. He sees him as his Fabinho Mark II. You've got Diaz, who looks like he's having a bit of a resurgence and he's kind of got back to that level of fitness again. And you're never going to drop Salah. So that wouldn't be my preferred front 3, but that seems to be the front 3 that Klopp wants to go with when he's got the midfield of choice to be able to play. And as a result, it means that Núñez is fighting for 4th choice. I think once the Europa League kicks around, that's when you'll start to see him getting a weekly game, whether that's the weekend or on a Thursday night, and it'll just rotate between whoever plays through the middle. And I think that's where he's going to come in. I don't see him running away with leading the line as a number 9 for Liverpool this season, but I agree with what Dan said. It is a massive season for us that he's got to continue to back this up now.
Can I ask a question, Errol, with regards to Van Dijk yesterday? Obviously, I think it was a red. I do. Yeah. I think it was red, but I listened to, Jamie Carragher gets a lot of stick, but I think he was so right in what he said yesterday. Van Dijk's been so used to for so long for being quick, strong, get in there. There was that air of, I think it was laziness yesterday. It was a lazy tackle. Are you concerned? I'm not saying that he's a bad defender at all, but are you concerned that you're starting to see not the decline as such, but he's hit his peak and that's
Where are you going with this, Dan United? I've got to say, look, people have got the likes up. They had this little thing going on.
Every time your name was mentioned there, you were like this.
I was looking because I was trying to say something, but people said don't speak until the likes get to 100, and now I'm hearing this lengthy Michael Parkinson-esque question.
We'll give the people what they want. We'll give the people what they want. I just want to find out from Errol. Do you think Van Dijk is there, or do you think there's something to worry about there?
I've been worried about Van Dijk since the start of last season. In part, there have been elements of his game which I've not been wholly happy with. The one thing that I won't do at the minute is contradict myself. I've said it so many occasions. I want to see more of what Van Dijk did yesterday. Obviously, I want him to time those tackles better. But in terms of being aggressive and not letting the man get the march on him, so he's having to then shield him and stand him up and pretty much use his aura, as a lot of people try to throw at him. I've wanted him to cut that out of his game. Was he lazy? Yeah, he was. It was a very soft challenge to go in for at that angle. There was no need for it. But at the same time, I do want to see him be a little bit more aggressive in moments like that. So it's finding that balance for me in order for me to feel like, oh, I've got confidence that he knows what he needs to do 90% of the time. There's a red card, fucking move on. Do you know what I mean? Like, that could have been the start for us to absolutely self-destruct. But there's something within this team, and people have said it before, because we've not lost the entire spine, there are still people in there that know what it means to win and how to win. And it was nice for some of those the new lads, the new blood that's come in to witness it early doors, to see, fuck me, the power of, I've heard about it, people talk about it, there's always mumbling, but to actually see it firsthand and be a part of it, that's the kind of imprint you want to leave on them, so they next time round. You seen Dom Soboslai come out and he said it's not what we do in this team, giving up or something like that on his Instagram post. So a lad already, do you know what I mean? I know he's a captain of his country, but he already gets it, and I think that was something. There are things that we can take away from that, even if the performance wasn't the level that we needed.
Cool. Nice. Long answer for a very long question. At the end of the day, Big Verge is out for our trip to Anfield, Errol. So, just know you're on shaky ground.
For what reason?
What do you mean? What reason? You got red.
Yeah, but for why does that mean we're on shaky ground?
Well, I'm just saying, like, your best defender is not going to be there, and we're going to rock up.
We don't need our best defender to pattern West Ham. No offense, but we don't.
Well, I'm not being funny, but Brighton are a better team than you, and we just went and rolled them over. So, I mean.
Technically, based on last year, he's not wrong, to be fair. But yeah,
Brighton right now are a better team than Liverpool. Don't get gassed up because you got some last-minute winner against Newcastle. You just sat there and said how we wasn't good and this was shaky and this was bad. Okay. You've not been looking convincing this season. What I'm saying is...
We've only played fucking 3 games, and for most of them, we've had 10, 11 men on the pitch. Calm down. You bald fraud. Don't start getting piping up here and chatting.
I'm piping, man. I'm piping. The pipe's coming out.
I'm not on the barbecue, bro. Today we're good. We're eating good food today. Do you get me? Like Liverpool, a lot of yous are writing us off from the start of the season. And then when we pop up against Newcastle, where yous are writing us off again, we've just proven more people wrong. I'm fine with that.
I didn't write you off. I was bigging up Liverpool. In fact, you've proved me wrong because I had you second. You ain't touching second. You ain't going nowhere near second.
Who's touching second, Lawless?
Well, right now, as it stands,
Dad, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
As it stands, look at the table. You know, and let's be real. I got to say, you know, I think we're proving a lot of people wrong. You know, and I think there's a few people with egg on their face right now.
You included?
Why have I got egg on my face?
Because you was the guy that was wanting to throw fucking Moyes under the bus a couple of weeks ago, and all of a sudden he's the Messiah all over again. He is literally risen from the dead in your eyes, and now it's like Easter Sunday all over. Allow it. You know for a fact that you've got a little bit of egg on your face. Eat that humble pie, brother.
No.
You've got to admit that you're wrong. You were wrong.
Respect Lawless. He holds it. He fucking holds it. I love it.
Listen, what I have said time and time again about this style of football is if you're losing, if you're not winning games, if it's not effective, it's unacceptable, right? Now it's effective. I can accept it. And who said that he's going to give David Moyes a chance this season? This guy. Before a ball was kicked, I said Moyes gets a chance. I would rather move on, but David Moyes gets a chance. And guess what? Big Tim Steidten is in town. Big Tim, put some respect on my technical director because he's getting the players in, he's getting things done. And people had the favourite month, Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, all these teams that Potts likes to wank off because they're the new kids on the block, right? We've been here. We had a shaky season and we still won a trophy. And we're still here. People, I don't think it's disgraceful to put West Ham 10th. I don't think there's any shame in that, Potts was saying yesterday.
It's not.
I'm just saying.
Why? Can I ask, on that point, can I please ask the panel and people in the chat why it is a disgrace to predict that West Ham can get a top half finish by finishing 10th and be told that is an absolutely... you're underestimating how good that we are. You're underestimating. This is a disgrace that you can't put us in the conversation.
I had him backtracking in voice notes last night, by the way. I had him backtracking because he said...
leak him.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leak these because 1 minute he's saying, you're not finishing above Brighton. You're not finishing above Villa. You're not finishing above Spurs. You're not finishing above Newcastle. Then he goes, well, why is it a shame to say you're going to be in the mix with those teams? I'm not saying you're going to be in the top 4, but you'll be in the mix with those. So now we're in the mix. Now you said us defectively...
In the mix with Spurs, Chelsea, Brentford. That's what I said. Brighton, Villa, those guys. Not in the mix with Newcastle, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, United. You think that's a disgrace for me to not put you in the mix with United, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Arsenal?
No. You didn't have us in the mix with Villa and Brighton. You had us decisively beneath them.
Yeah, I do. That's my prediction. My prediction is you'll come 10th. Why is that a crazy prediction? You come 15th last year, brother. Or 16th last year, wherever the hell it was you come. Now I'm putting you in the top half, and it's a disgrace. Where's this coming from?
You lot thought I was crazy to say that we could get top 7. I had a 7.
Does anybody on the panel, apart from this loon, think that West Ham will finish higher than 10th? Right. Okay. Dan United is the only one.
I'm going to say the reason I'm
disgrace. You're all a disgrace.
It's because
low key, what they've done, West Ham, all of a sudden their transfer window is looking decent.
Yeah, but then that means now though the pressure's on though. So if West Ham don't perform this season, come the end of the season, what's the excuse going to be? You've got every player that you wanted.
Give it till fucking January. Don't even give it till fucking January, and he'll be spitting feathers, and he'll be Moyes back out, and that'll be all we'll hear for weeks and weeks on end.
Brighton. The pressure's on Villa because they're the fashionable teams. They're the teams everyone's wanking off right now, right?
West Ham, Lawless, West Ham are in Europe as well. This is what I don't get.
Yeah, but we're under the radar. No one has any expectations.
You just won the European Conference Cup. How are you under the radar?
Yeah,
What are
what's
you
going
talking
on?
about?
Finishing 10th.
What are you talking about? Hold on, how are Villa and Brighton expected to do more than European winning champions West Ham? And you just signed like 4 or
Ask the
5.
panel that. Ask the pundits.
No, I'm asking you.
Right?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
I'm
What's
not
your answer?
Listen, I'm saying, yeah, okay, you could have a good season, yeah, but to sit here when you've been here for 5 minutes, yeah, you finish above us for the first time in your history, right? I can't back that
As
up.
it was Pete last season, he was saying that too, mate. Don't take it
I haven't got
personal.
the data to back that up, but I'm going to say it. Like, first time in your history, Villa finishing above us for the first time in donkey's years. And all of a sudden, the chests are puffed out. Villa are here to stay. Brighton's here to stay. West Ham are old news. No.
Who said that?
I don't accept that.
Nobody
We have
said
one
West Ham are old
season.
news.
Fallacy.
You're making it up.
It is an absolute fallacy that this fraud has made up in his own mind. We need some level
Our
of
worst season in a long time.
Bro,
We win a
allow
trophy.
it. West Ham, yeah, has had a good start to the season. I said, and I'm in the same camp as Daniel. Yous have done the Uno reverse card on a transfer window because where Liverpool started good and we're finishing poor, you might have started poor and now yous are finishing good. And to be honest with you, that is probably the way around that I'd rather see it. I'd rather see the lads come in that you need, that you know, not necessarily reinforcements.
Oh my God, thanks for reminding me. You're in the fucking mud, man. You are in the mud because I've just.
Yeah, scrap it. I'll just stick to the agenda. Use a shit. That's the be all and end all.
Bird's eye potato waffles. You are,
Lawless,
mate. Because
Lawless, let me ask you. Can I ask you one
I'm
question?
coming back to you, Errol. I ain't forgotten you.
No, Lawless, let me ask you one question. If you were to finish 10th this season, yeah, would you be happy with that?
No, if we just finished 10th, yeah, if we just finished 10th, nothing else, I wouldn't be happy with it. I wouldn't, be completely against it. I think that Moyes doesn't get his contract renewed if we finish 10th. For me, that's where
15th in an FA Cup. Would you take it?
What?
No,
15th
no, he doesn't
in
want
an
to finish
FA Cup.
15th. He said no to me on that.
Well, yeah, of
He
course
wants
I
to
would
finish
take it, but
seventh.
this is Potts'
Wants to
thing.
finish seventh again.
Potts is trying to offer me shit he can't
But
offer. He don't have
you
the
battling
FA Cup in
relegation
his
last
pocket.
season, though. You were battling relegation last season.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you,
we
man.
won a trophy. We
Yeah,
got
but-
building.
no,
We
putting
can't
them-
lose.
They're fighting
Granted,
relegation last season, but putting them 10th is a disgrace.
Yeah, so that's an improvement on last season, and you're still mid-table.
Lawrence,
but it
where-
doesn't matter.
honestly, where do you think you're going to finish the season? So you don't think Potts is right by
seventh.
saying that you're going to finish 10th? What position do you put yourself
I had
in?
us on the prediction show 7th, right? But let me listen. I have to address Errol's stupid comments because I addressed them times again. Errol sat there and said, "You've shot yourselves in the foot because you haven't taken less money for Declan Rice. You should have taken less money, lad. You should have accepted 80 mil for Declan Rice. Yeah, but you held on. You shut yourselves in the foot. Now you can't get players in, lad. You could have got your players in. It was like when you go and you shoot your load off too early, son. You should have held on to your load and all of that, right? And what happened? We got the quality players in, mate, and we're starting the season well. Oh, guess what? We didn't have to sell Declan Rice for cheap and sell him earlier. Look, we had the hardest run. Well, I'm not going to say I think Newcastle have had a harder run, but we've had one of the harder opening runs in the league. Arsenal have had one of the easiest. Yeah, they're looking up at West Ham. We're looking down at them, right? Let's not forget that. That's a really tough.
How many points? How many points is there between us that we're looking up at?
Don't matter. That point.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that back at you. That's all.
Guess what, Potts? Guess what, Potts? Right? If you lose the league by goal difference, do you sit there and go, "Well, how many points have we lost the league by?" No, you don't get a fucking trophy.
No, because it's 38 games in, brother, not 3.
I'm just saying, we've started the season, and that means something because you
We'll
build
come to
on that.
Arsenal. We'll come to Arsenal. I've got a lot to say on it.
Yeah.
But you saying that it's a disgrace to predict that West Ham can finish top half after being in a relegation fight all last season, just because you've won a Conference Cup, which you seem to think you can throw Bully under the bus with, is mad for me. So I don't think it's a disgrace.
Too swept up in the new boys all the time, the new teams that come on and they
you
start like.
Don't forget your
Spanking them
station,
off.
though, at the same time, Lawless. Like, don't forget your station. That's all I'd say.
Also-
There's a
also-
reality.
Also, I just want to say as well, the game. Let's talk about the game quickly as well, right? don't get me wrong. I thought Moyes had done really, really well. Like he tactically outdone De Zerbi for the first time I think ever, and probably the first and last time he'll ever do it. But he played the right game. West Ham, fair play. Like they actually were winners. We were awful. Webster had an absolute stinker who just basically single-handedly lost us the game. But in saying that, the amount of chances we created towards the last 15 minutes, I'd say, you have to admit, Lawless, we were getting back in the game. Obviously, scored the goal to make it 3-1. And it was just, we looked much better going into that last 15 minutes. So any other day, I think if we kept playing, and I think Moyes even alluded to it, saying that, any other day, they wouldn't have got the 3 points. Not to take away any credit from West Ham, because I thought they were brilliant. But let's just be real here. You didn't exactly, apart from that, sort of half an hour spell, that game could have gone completely different. Like any other day, we could have easily come back into that game and potentially even got a draw. Not saying it would have happened or it did happen, but
we could have easily won that by 5. By the way, we had a few good chances that we did not put away that we should have put.
Take Adam Webster out of that team, and look, talking about what Pete said earlier in terms of questioning the manager. I think for the first time as well, for a long, long time, I questioned De Zerbi with his selection, like having Webster over Van Heck, who I know it's only Luton, but he pocketed Morris, who's a very physical striker, and Antonio just ran Webster ragged. And if we had Van Heck, he could have physically matched up with Antonio. So that's another thing he got wrong as well. But look, I'm not going to take anything away from West Ham. They beat us fair and square. No, I wouldn't go that far. But credit to West Ham. Credit to West Ham. They should have won. But for me personally, hopefully we can bounce back against Newcastle. I know it's going to be another really tough game, but I want us a reaction. Like we got battered against Everton last season 5-1, and then we went on to beat Arsenal 3-0 the game after. So hopefully we get a similar reaction against Newcastle. But
Matoma was kept quiet, really. He was sort of pocketed he was forced into making shots and crosses because he could not get past Soufal. Obviously, we doubled up on him at times, but the tactics were spot on.
No, they were. They were.
I want to see.
No, 100%.
The Bowen goal was cold, man. I can't even lie. That touch was sensational, man.
But you know what those pots? They just done us on a counter every time. Every time on the counter, they just done us, and I just didn't get it. Obviously, Caicedo obviously is a massive miss. So is McAllister as well. But we just haven't replaced. Haven't got a replacement for Caicedo yet. So hopefully, Belabor, who's come in from I think it's Lille in the French league. Hopefully, he's only 19. I'm not going to put too much pressure on him, but we need that DM cover. Otherwise, it's not looking good. That midfield
now Brighton need to do a West Ham because we sold Declan Rice. Guess what? And we've gone 100%. And bought better. I'd say better, but we're better. We are better for it.
No, 100%. You've invested that Rice money so well, and that's what we need to do with the Caicedo money. We need to do just as well. Like we missed out to Kudus. I think we had a bid for him as well, and you boys beat us to it, which I'm actually gutted about. But it is what it is. The game is the game, and Lawless is smirking.
Apparently, you put a release clause in that contract, though, Maz, and he didn't want that. No, he wanted a release clause. Sorry.
Yeah, he hasn't got a release clause with us. That's the funny thing. He ain't got no release clause at West Ham.
No, that's fine. But this is how we conduct business, and that's just unfortunately the way Tony Bloom is conducting business.
You ain't got a big Tim, mate.
No, he just that's what he does.
Isn't it? It's because he wanted to play for Moyes. He's got a Moyes poster on his bedroom wall at home.
West Ham. By the way, Chelsea tried to hijack it last minute. He said nope. West Ham. Your boy Ornstein confirmed that, by the way, Potts.
Just a quick one. Sorry, go on, Pete. Sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say, with Brighton, do you feel that you need to go out and get an established player to play that role? Or are you going to go back into the market and buy that sort of young player? Like you said, you got the 19-year-old from Lille that you're going to bring in. Are you going to go and get that sort of inexperienced guy that's got potential? Do you feel now, from Brighton's point of view, because the one thing I mentioned about Brighton is that, like Southampton and many other teams over the years, where you kind of churn through that conveyor belt of players, they come in, they're quality, you sell them for big money. In my opinion, and look, Brighton might continue this for another year or two, but at some point that's going to stop. You're not always going to get that banger of a player. And because Brighton are looking at that player, you're going to have the teams like Liverpool, West Ham, Villa, all these guys on the panel that are going to go, you know what, Brighton, look at him. Let's go and get him first, because they might have the money to put down and whatever.
Haven't you got Dahoud as well?
The established player. Do you think now Brighton just need to go out with the window as it is and get that established player that knows the role, like West Ham had done? Alvarez, quality player. They've gone in and just almost replaced Rice in one signing, and just done the business, because he does.
Who though, Pete? Who do they get? Who do they get though?
Yeah, I don't know, but because I don't know who Brighton linked with. But I want to know from your point of view, what are you expecting now between now and the end of the window? Because you've said that you need to improve.
Yeah, no. To give you a quick answer, the way we conduct business is always build for the future. So we're going to get that Baleba, I think, is going to come in and be that Caicedo replacement. But like you said, he's 19 years old from the French league. I think he's played maybe 30 senior games for the first team. So he's very inexperienced in that sense. But in saying that, like Potts said, we got Dahoud, who came in, who's very experienced, and he's played Champions League, Europa League, played for Dortmund in the Bundesliga. But he's not the player we need. And we've got Billy Gilmore as well, who can play in that role as well. But again, it's just not established, like you mentioned. So I personally would love an established player, but it's like a few people said now, it's like who comes in? Liverpool can't find a DM, so why? You know what? In terms of
Sangare is being mentioned. That should be a class signing.
I think we need like, even, do you know what? I would even take like Ndidi from Leicester. I think like even an Ndidi from Leicester, I'd see him sort of slotting in and being that, but unfortunately, no one's going to replace Caicedo. He was just so good for us last season.
He's been fine.
Yeah, it just, do you know what I mean? So, I look, I don't know the answer. I'm not De Zerbi or Bloom or Barber, but we definitely need someone to come and plug that hole, because as we saw against West Ham, they've done us every time, and we just didn't have anyone there cleaning that mess up. Which,
Maz, do you think that'll be a recurring theme for you this season? Do you feel like that's something that you're going to have to work to kind of get out of your system in a sense? You go on these little runs, but then you're going to drop a clanger to a team that, you know, is beneath you.
Well, the thing is, we only, last season, the only one that sort of stand out to me was Everton, when we lost 5-1. That was like the big one that sort of stood out for me in terms of a big game where we lost. And apart from that, we competed pretty well. I think obviously against Liverpool, we got 3-3, and what was the other result? And then like all the big teams, Chelsea, we done a double over. Arsenal, we beat 3-0. Like, we competed against all the big boys last season. Man United, 1-0. McAllister as well. Spurs, I think, the only one sort of kryptonite. But yeah, look, against the big clubs, we've always done pretty well. But this season, it's going to be a different story, I think. Unfortunately, I think we are going to have to take those losses. We had a decent start, obviously Luton and Wolves. Put two pretty poor sides, if we're going to be frank about it. And I think it was actually this was a nice wake-up call. I think actually we needed this. As mad as it sounds, I feel like we need this. Lawless, honestly, I'm so appreciative. I actually appreciate you boys battering us.
First time in 11 years, that's an omen, though. It could be an omen for you or for us, because people don't understand how significant that is.
12 games. It took
I think that's what you and Pete's teams may suffer from more so than the Arsenals or the West Hams and the Liverpools and the Cities this season, is the fact that teams have got your number now. Yous are marked men, so to speak, in a sense that like teams are going to want to give it to you and go for it. And then the fact that you're playing on the European stage as well, like your own players are going to have to manage those expectations of going twice a week instead of just the once a week, knowing full well that there are other teams that are breathing down your neck, wanting to go for the goal, going for your head type of thing.
That's the same situation for Billy and Lawless, though, because they're in Europe too.
I don't expect much from Lawless's team. I don't expect.
Oh, okay, right, that's fair enough on your opinion. But actually, from my obviously you don't care about West Ham, and that's I understand why you're saying that, Errol. But from my point of view, you know, West Ham won the Europa Conference League. Like, they won that competition. They're in Europe again. They've signed a lot of players that everybody's talking about. Oh, they've signed all these players, well-established players. For me, the pressure's just as much on those guys. Thursday to Sunday, Thursday to Monday, exactly the same as Billy. Look, Billy, you guys, I think you're going to get to the last stage of the Europa Conference League. You're going to smash it. But having that pressure of traveling and doing all the rest of it is going to be the same as myself and Maz is going to expect. So I don't see a difference in that. I might be. I don't think I'm
more pressure.
Under the radar, Pete.
I think it'll be slightly. I think it'll be slightly easier for us.
I'm joking. I don't think they are either.
I don't think they are.
Listen,
Sorry,
I know,
Billy.
Billy, you're in
Billy,
the
go on,
Conference League and you think it's going to be all, roses because you can just play the B team all week. But listen, you got to see your drawing. There's going to be a time, mate, where
I'm not saying it's going to be all roses. It's not going to be easy for us. But I think that the players that we're bringing in have all played Europe regularly. It's now their job to put their experiences onto the inexperienced players. We've got a
a manager who's played 17 years consecutively in Europe. It's his job to put his experiences onto those inexperienced players, and that's why I'm not really too fussed. I think we'll be, out of all of the new boys in Europe, I think we'll be the ones that can kind of slide in. We're also in the lesser of the three competitions. Like, let's not beat around the bush. We're expected to go on and win it. Of course we are. But that's why I think it'll be. I don't want to say seamless because it's going to be difficult for us, of course. But I think we will cope with it easier than the others, and that's all I'm saying.
Just to finish off.
Can I just say quickly? Sorry, Matt. Can I just say quickly, right? And this is for Billy, right? Don't start taking tips from Lawless just for a second, because if you look at the road that they had through to the Europa Conference League, I've got it in front of me. These are the teams that they beat, right? So they beat Viborg FF in the playoff round. Then they got into the group stage from that and played FCSB and beat them. Then they
by the way, they won the Champions League in the 80s.
These are proper quiz teams, you know.
Wait, then they built still. Now it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. We're not even halfway there yet. Then they played Silkeborg, and then they played Anderlecht, who is the only team that I've heard of so far. Then that was in their group stage. Obviously, they went through there because they were so good against Silkeborg and Viborg and FCB. They beat them, and then they played Larnaca, who are a pub side in Ayia Napa, and they beat them over 2 legs. Then they started to get the big boys. Ghent absolutely managed to get past Ghent. And then after Ghent, they went to AZ Alkmaar, who are a side that are normally playing the Champions League, can be respected. And then they obviously went and played Fiorentina and beat them. So, Billy, you'll be fine, bro. Don't listen to this. Oh, it might be difficult. It might get hard for you, blah, blah, blah. Because it is hard in that crazy competition.
What a difference a week, mate.
Anyhow, you do not win this competition, Billy. Oh, my God. I will work with Sam personally to create the most epic video you have ever seen in your life, yeah? And you know what the worst thing is about it, Billy? You're not even going to be the one that's getting clowned the most in it. It's going to be Dan Potts, because he's going to have the biggest ego. He's backed you, yeah? You're his horse. He's backing his horse, right? He sees Villa going straight to the top because you're his flavour of the month, like Brentford were before and Newcastle and Brighton. He picks these teams, yeah, that seem to be the in thing, on trend. And he rides them to the moon, right? Until they look like, oh, shit, they ain't going anywhere. I'll pick the new flavour of the month. You know, and that's what it is. And that's what you are, Billy. So just
all aboard, Potts. All aboard.
If you fail, he'll drop you like a bad habit and predict you to get relegated.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? Because Maz, Billy, and Pete don't have good ball knowledge and don't come out with wild takes like Dan Lawless.
I've never come out of a wild take in my life.
All I'm going to say, yeah, out of the 3 European sides, the ones that are in Conference and Europa League, yeah, West Ham, Villa, and Brighton, West Ham have by far got the most expectations than either of the other 2 teams. So you got way more pressure on you than we do. Now
you're European champion, mate. You're a European champion.
This is the first time we've ever been in Europe. Why would we have any expectations to do anything?
Because you're you're very hyped. And like you said, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question.
Go on.
So you said this as well, Maz. This came out of your mouth, right? We finished. We was in a relegation battle last season. Yeah. So surely 10th is an improvement, right? It's an improvement. So why have we got the most expectations on us when we was in a relegation battle last season?
You currently sat top of the Premier League table, and you've just signed about 4 quality players, and you've got a squad that's just off the back of a European trophy. So why
Maz, also with that, mate, I think what I will back Maz on this with Lawless is your team is used to playing the Thursday, Sundays, whereas they're obviously building their squad to make sure that they can compete on both fronts. That's what I will say about that. You're used to doing
This is
this.
brilliant. He's
also-
come on here and he wants us to big West Ham up, but don't say we're going to be any pressure on us winning European.
This is what you wanted, isn't it?
Brighton
You guys,
and Villa have
there's
got more
pressure on
than
us,
us.
but you don't rate us. You don't rate
Are
us.
you,
but
listening?
no
Are you
pressure
hearing
on
this,
us.
Errol? Errol, am I
I
being...
don't have to rate you for there's still to be pressure on you like that.
Yeah.
Those
To
things
be
don't
fair,
have to
Lawless,
go hand in
to be
hand.
fair, Lawless, you said on the clip before the show, you said you're a contender. If
For
you're
what?
a contender,
What are
you've
you
got
contending
you've got to play at the highest level, Premier League, and play in Europe
Yeah.
every week. So that's what you said. They were your words. They were your words. You said
All right,
that.
listen, but that's
You're
not
a
going to
contender. You're a
don't
He's
try
contender.
cracking, boys.
So
He's
I'm
do
under
gonna-
some
pressure.
shit
I might have to
psychology.
reevaluate my situation with the predictions. I might have to swap you guys around.
You can't put Billy on
You
there.
lot are trying to say that because there's pressure on
Can't
us.
put
So
Billy
we're
on
going
there.
to
Hey, we've got him on the ropes, boys. We've got him on the ropes.
You can't
Lawless,
put Billy on there.
Lawless, do you
Billy was
win the
worried
Europa
about
League?
Hibs. You can't put Billy anywhere near it. He was worried about Hibs.
You can't put pressure on me. You can't put pressure on me. You know, so don't even try it.
Can you
Lawless,
win,
do you
Lawless,
win
can
the
you win it?
Europa League?
Yeah, that's a good question, Billy. Can you win it?
Obviously, look, the draw is key. Look,
When
now
is
we've beaten. Remember what I said? Brighton was the only team I didn't want to draw in this competition. The curse is gone, mate. We've lifted the curse. So I feel more confident now. Like I feel like, okay, we get Brighton. We know what we're doing.
You forget the guy next to you though. You forget the
Let him, bro. I can't wait for him to
That
just
one
forget.
there. That one
Yeah.
I want them in the final, mate. I want to exercise the ghosts of 2006.
Oh mate,
Yeah.
I would love it. Do you know what? Like, I didn't even have any vendetta against West Ham until I met you, Lawless. But me and you, that changed everything. So now that our paths have collided and we're on this European stage together, I pray at some point we book into a knockout game and we send you packing. Like royally, though, I want to see tears. I want to see you and Jay or Jace on that couch, holding each other, consoling each other in absolute tears. That's what I'm looking for this season.
Listen, I feel like your team is looking kind of stale. You know, we've injected some real freshness in the team. Kudus is a lift, mate. I think someone in the group chat said he could be our Payet. That's the difference maker. Your team, it
He's
needs
class,
some
man.
freshness.
Kudus is so good, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure we did Ajax 30 last year as well, and he was in part of their team. But what do I know? That was only
No, I'm
Champions
just
League.
saying, like
That
your
was only
team,
Champions League settings.
your team's kind
Harold,
of
don't
jaded.
start talking about Champions League with you last season, mate. You got fucking schooled by Real Madrid. Horrendous.
Oh,
We did.
Can't say that, mate.
Still handled Ajax where Mr. Kudos the Great came from. Fucking hell.
but listen, let's see if you respect this competition because you lot all think you're above it. You think you're above the Europa League.
Never once. I expect us to take this competition seriously this season. I've said that from day dot. I expect it. I expect Klopp to make it a priority for this season for those lads to get.
Oh, by the way, let's talk about Klopp's record in finals. You want to stick your chest out and be Billy Big Bollocks. If we get you in the final, you'll be crying, yeah? Okay. Listen, what's happened? Like, how many finals? He's won like 2 finals out of 20 or something, you know. The end of the day.
What are you waffling for? No, he's not.
I'm exaggerating, but what I'm saying is,
I'm glad you know. I'm glad you can admit it. Stop chatting shit.
The point is,
let's talk facts. The reality is, if you get to the final, that'll be considered very, very good for you guys. If you do, but I don't see how you get to the final and we're not there. And in the event that we're there with you in the final, I can only see one winner, and it's not West Ham. That's just the truth. If it comes down to the final and the shootout between
West Ham get to the final, there's no way Liverpool can't get to the final. We've got to the final.
No, I'm saying that if you're in the final, we should be there too. Like if you've got yourself, yeah, we should definitely.
Remember the teams that fall out the Champions League as well.
I'm gonna go there.
Hello.
Maybe years. Who knows? Maybe years. I might be waving too. Who knows?
I'm just saying. Listen, I'm not saying we're favourites for nothing. I'm not saying we're going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm saying people are underestimating us at their peril, right? And signs I've seen so far, things are looking good. It's looking good, man, and we got some players.
Who'd you give that credit to for making it look good right now?
It's a combination. Big
Tim, apparently. Big Tim. He does all the coaching. He does all the stuff on the training ground. You got to give more. I've given Moyes credit. I've given Moyes his credit.
But we're getting the players that we want over the line now. And Moyes now he's gone back to his strengths. We tried to change things last season, and yeah, it fell apart. Now we're going back to what we can do, bringing in quality at the same time. I'm just saying, we got Luton in the next game.
Listen, Lawless, you just better hope we can't not just only clip you up on here, but clip up your Twitter's statuses of Moyes in, Moyes out, Moyes in, Moyes out.
I'm a man of my word. Am I not a man of my word? Every time I said I would change my profile picture to Moyes if we won the competition, and I did it. I said,
Lawless,
no, if we beat Arsenal,
gets a new contract in the next couple of weeks, will you be happy?
No, he can't be.
Billy, you know the score, Billy. You know the score.
Listen, how is it flip-flopping?
The old flippy flop. Yeah.
Listen, it's not a flip-flop, but I'm giving him credit, right? And I said I'd give him another chance, but he ain't getting no contract yet. We got to see where we are in October, November time if we're still competing around the top. We got Luton on Friday. Listen, we could be going top of the league again. Win at Luton, top of the league. And, 4 games in. And we get there and we got the next game.
Is it away? I tell you what.
It's away.
Away.
Home game.
It's Friday night football, isn't it?
Good luck there, mate. Oh, no, is it? Are they still playing at the stadium or no?
They are playing this Friday.
Yeah, they are. They're back now. They're back. Listen, let's quickly move because I know Lawless has got to go soon. Billy, want to quickly touch on yourself before we go to Arsenal United because I know that you had a very convincing win. And I've got to say, man, I wanted James Maddison and Moussa Diaby at Arsenal, and both are proving why. This kid is so good, man. I've got so much time for Moussa Diaby, and I know me and Pete spoke about it before about coming to Newcastle or Arsenal. And I think he's been superb for Villa, man. But you were great. I thought really, really good, man. Must be happy.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be feeling confident again. I don't want to get overly confident because obviously we've got Hibs again on Thursday.
Fuck off, Billy! Fuck off! Fuck off!
He's pulled him in.
Don't do that, Billy.
Are you worried about the whole Stevenage vibes, mate? Is it
not a vibe? Not
could be an Istanbul comeback from Hibs. You know what I mean?
Never know. Never rule it out. No, it's 3 wins on the spin. I think it's 12 goals in the past 3 games, albeit Hibs, Burnley, and Everton, but 1 goal conceded as well. We're looking decent. It's going to be a massive test for us against Liverpool on Sunday, but the way that we're playing, the way that we controlled the game, look, second half, first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, they had us on the ropes, mainly because that goal so soon into the second half, but we overcome that Diaby quality goal. You know, all of our goals really against Burnley were fantastic. I think the second goal was a 19-20 pass kind of passage of play, tucked away beautifully by Matty Cash. The first goal, lovely ball over the top from John McGinn. Watkins, I thought he'd
overrun it.
Yeah. But no, thankfully he managed to get it to the back post where Matty Cash was lurking. So yeah, I mean, going into the game, I just had that I just woke up yesterday morning and I just had that feeling that it was going to be a really shit day, and I was really not feeling good for it. And I saw the lineup: Cash playing in midfield. He's tried it before; it hasn't worked out. Olsen in goal with Martinez injury. I was just thinking, oh, this is just going to be an awful 90 minutes. Thankfully, I was proven wrong. So, look, I'm feeling good. Thursday, play the kids against Hibs. Give Martinez a full week's rest, ready for Liverpool. Over to Anfield. Let's get the 3 points. Make another statement win.
That would be, and that, you know what? That would be. That would be a statement win.
Errol's charging up.
Look,
that is what you call a statement win, man.
Billy, don't do it, mate. I said we'd go to Anfield to get a result last season. We got spanked 7-0. Don't do it. They will clip you and they will not let you forget it.
That's Man United. That's Man United.
This weekend is going to be. He's come out swinging punches, man.
You know what? I think next week it's going to be popcorn time because you look at it, it's going to be Brighton, Newcastle, Villa, Liverpool, and Arsenal, Man United. Like, you lot are gonna be fighting it out, and I'm just gonna be here to sprinkle a little bit of
I'm
smile,
going with your approach, mate. I'm going with your approach. We are absolutely shite at the moment, so I'm not expecting a thing from there, mate. So
Well, we'll get there, man. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk Arsenal. We're gonna talk Arsenal now. Before you guys go, because I know a couple of people have got to. It's LB's birthday today, which is why he's not on. Big up LB, happy birthday! I think he's 29. I can't believe that, but I know it's mad. It makes me feel so old, man. It really does. But before I let you guys shoot, he's got a little bit of a message.
Yes, lads. How we doing, man? Listen, Pete, you got an answer for your sins, my friend. I spoke on you last week. I said Newcastle crumbled. They ghosted at the midfield three. Shambolic. My friend, this weekend at St. James's Park, the cathedral of football, your boys crumbled under pressure, 1-0 up against 10 men. You've got answers. You need answers. What is happening? Are Newcastle about to get under serious pressure? Is Eddie Howe good enough? Joe Linton, Bruno, Tonali, we gas these boys up too much. I need answers, man. I'm going to watch him back later on. When I come back from the pub after 15 pints, I'm steaming. I'm putting the 12th man on. I'm listening to you. As for Errol, oh brother Errol, don't cash out on Liverpool, mate. We know the power of Darwin Núñez. He's going to send the boys up to second. You won't get anywhere near City. We're going to walk this league. I've told you many times. We're going to walk this league. But Liverpool are going to finish second. And Dan, don't go anywhere. Your team has answers to pay for the crimes it has committed against Fulham. 2-2 against 10 men. Shocking. I told you last week, I don't speak nothing but facts. City are walking this league. Liverpool will be our main title contenders. United are still shit, despite them winning from 2-0 down. My friends, have a good day. Have a good show. I'll be watching later on. Cheers. Au revoir.
Yes.
You know what? Right?
The Manchester fucking Godfather.
I sent them a message saying happy birthday. I'm gonna fucking delete that shit now. I'm deleting that fucker. All right. He can get a fuck after that.
It's pure fact.
Big up LB. Big up LB. Happy birthday, my friend. He'll be back next time, I am sure. Listen,
Before
we're going to leave
I just got to say something on Arsenal. I just didn't last week. I said about Arsenal and I said, listen, it's not sustainable last season. You're not going to be as good as you were last season. Can't expect that. People were outraged. What? How can you say that? How can you expect Arsenal were not going to be even better than they were last season? And you've had the easiest start of anyone in the league and you're looking shaky. And really, you were lucky to come away with a point in the end of it. I mean, Fulham could have took it in the end. And Champions League has not even begun, my friend. So I think the Arsenal fans, they're not going to be as gracious as to apologize, especially all the ones in the chat and go, do you know what, you were right. Time will tell. I just wanted to put that out there and we will keep coming back to that point. Okay. I'm just saying, manage your expectations because if you finish second, it will be like when Ollie finished second. That's all I'm saying. So don't even wank over second.
It's crazy how you have no self-awareness. It is absolutely crazy.
What?
I hear what you're saying. It's just funny that you're able to articulate it so well when it's not a team that I've got iron on the fucking front of the shirt. It's bonkers, but you do you, boo.
I mean, technically, cannons are made out of iron, aren't they? So
Well, I happen to agree with some of the stuff you've said, which I'm going to go into now. But before I do that, I'm going to say thank you, Pete. Thank you, Lawless, and thank you, Maz.
Happy anniversary, Pete, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Pete.
Happy anniversary.
Big up for coming on.
How many years, man?
How many years?
8 years married.
What's your secret? What's your secret?
What?
What's your secret? 8 years. I'm hitting 5 soon. What's your secret?
You know what? I have no idea. I am married to Superwoman because the fact that we're at work, we literally work together. We're at the same place. It's how we met. And like we work together all day. Like, and she allows me to come on channels like this, do loading, all the rest of it, and she's all cool with it. Like she is literally. There is literally. I can't even tell you. There's no secret. She allows me to do these channels and be on with you guys, and it's an absolute pleasure. And you know what? Mad respect to her. So this is why I do. Like, to be fair, it's this bank holiday weekend that we got married. It was on the Sunday. It was yesterday, kind of like, and we always make like 3 or 4 days of it, and we do loads of stuff to kind of celebrate it. So like, yeah, and she moved it around. She moved things around to allow me to come onto this tonight to get absolutely roasted. So thanks to the wife for that. Cheers.
You're making me feel bad now, Pete. Jesus Christ.
No.
I feel inadequate now, mate. Jesus.
Boys, through good times and bad, this show is an absolute pleasure to be on. You boys are absolute quality. It was my time to get a roast in. I kind of enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed that video at the start. But look, Newcastle will be back. No doubt about it. We'll be talking plenty more over the weeks and months ahead. But I need to go. So pleasure. You boys take care.
All the best, mate.
Big love, mate. Big love.
That's fine, Pete. Big love. Maz, I know you've got Stu.
Lawless just out the back door.
They're out, mate. They're out. Listen.
Man United, you're kipping on the couch tonight, by the way.
Oh, mate, don't worry about it.
Get used to that city, man. Get used to that city. Let's come to you boys on Arsenal. I don't want to be on for too much longer, but I do want to talk about Arsenal and United. I've been really unconvinced throughout the whole of pre-season and in the first 3 games of Arsenal. And a lot of people were saying to me, just hold your horses. We're winning. Doesn't matter how you win as long as you win games. But I just didn't feel it was sustainable. I don't really understand what Mikel Arteta is doing. And I've been on this podcast and many podcasts today and yesterday talking about what Mikel Arteta is doing right now. And I just don't understand it. Our back line last season was superb because of the partnerships, and that partnerships was not just the back 5, it was actually the ones in front of it as well. And what I mean by that is Gabriel and Saliba formed a partnership that complemented each other. Ben White, other than Trippier, was right up there as the best right back in the league, and Thomas Partey, along with Rodri and Casemiro, is being spoken about as the best holding midfielder in the league. Saka and Martinelli were allowed to have flair and freedom, and Martin Odegaard was pulling the strings. None of that's happening because our system is all over the place. We've broken up the partnership of Gabriel and Saliba. We no longer have the partnership of Ben White and Saka. We've got Thomas Partey playing at right back. No one understands why. We've got Kai Havertz being shoehorned into this position for that system. And it is affecting Saka and Martinelli because they don't have their guys behind them they recognise. Martin Odegaard, yeah, he scored. Yeah, Saka's scored. But actually, it's affected most of their games, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't excuse the fact that we've made mistakes and we've cost goals. And yet again, I think the stats are, this is the 3rd time in a calendar year that we've given away a goal in the first minute of the Emirates. That can't happen. That just can't happen if you want to go for a title. We do fluff our lines. We haven't taken our chances. But Mikel Arteta's press conferences was worrying for me because it said that he was happy. It should have been 5 or 6. And that he was 10 times better than last season's game at home to Fulham where we won 2-1. That's worrying because what that says to me, I'll start with you, Errol, is Mikel Arteta, I don't think is going to change this system. Now, Zinchenko and Jesus are back now, which means that you're probably not going to see Partey and Zinchenko playing as inverted wingbacks. It's normally only one that you see, right? But I just don't quite get it. And I feel there's definitely a lot of concern over what this Arsenal team are saying and what the previous Arsenal team of last season was saying. And we've already given City 2 points ahead of us. You can't be giving them much more than that. We've got Manchester United and Spurs next. City have got 4 winnable games. Very winnable. They've got Fulham. They've got I think it's Bournemouth, West Ham, and they've got another as well, which is fairly easy as well. There's 4 wins there for me. So they'll be on 21 points in 7 games. Will Arsenal be on 19 points in 7 games? We're going to have to find out. What do you make of Arsenal, Errol? Do you think that there should be meltdowns, or do you think that this is just...
No. I don't think any team... part and parcel of what we do, yet there's always going to be someone that's ready to have a meltdown when the team doesn't do what's expected of them. You know, that's the nature of the reactionary content creators, that bubble that we all seem to operate in. Sound, but when you actually deep it and look at the reality and what's in front of you, it's not panic stations yet for me with Arsenal. The thing that worried me in terms of what you just said there in that segment was more the case that Arteta currently sees not the issues that the fan base is probably seeing, because to me that would then also suggest that he's prepared to stick by what he's implemented so far for a sustained period of time. How long? Who knows? Will that be results dependent? If things go completely wrong and you start to fall away, and it's all, well, all right, well, how do we say, kind of damage limitations all of a sudden when we're firefighting? That you don't want it to get to that point. You want it to be like, all right, if you're going to be strong and wrong, be strong and wrong and hope that the lads turn a corner and all of a sudden thing with the results start to pick up and you're just getting saved just by the results. You've got all your players back into terms of full fitness, and you can actually then try to re-implement what worked so well for you last season. It seems strange to me that you might not have had the winning formula last season, i.e. we're able to go the 38 games and win the league, but you definitely had the winning formula that made you far and above better than the rest. And when I say better than the rest, it wasn't, again, you could turn up at Anfield and anybody can draw, apart from Man U. You can turn up. You can turn
Why'd you
up.
fucking do that? I'm sat there nodding.
I know, I couldn't help it.
Talking sense, and then you do it, don't you?
I know,
I'm
sorry. But no, you can turn up. You could draw against the Spurs, or you can lose to Chelsea. Whichever way around you want to look at it. There are those results at the top of the table where you're not always guaranteed to bank on your 3 points. But all the other teams that have been put into the sword, Arteta managed to navigate a system and a style that was enabling you to get the best out of your forwards and was giving you the best defensive platform to kick on from. Saliba looked absolutely phenomenal for you last season. He was probably... It might not have been your player of the season, but he was definitely up there as one of the players of the season. Ramsdale looked like a quality keeper as well. He looked like he should, in my eyes, be England's number one. It's between him and Pope for me. And it's a bit of a shootout. Don't get why, Southgate's so determined to continue with Pickford, but that's another conversation. I think why it's almost like he's unpacked all the good things you've done and tried to repack it together with a completely different makeup that is not currently suiting what your lads need going forward. On top of the fact that Bukayo Saka doesn't seem to have missed a game of footy in about 2 years now. Yep. You are constantly applying pressure to that forward line, that the lads that come in, even if there's not necessarily a drop-off, because they're not having that constant consistency in game time, whether there is a drop-off in quality man for man, they're coming in out the cold. You're expecting too many players to come in out the cold and deliver than being able to have an actual decent level of rotation that keeps people fresh, fit, and vying for places. That competition at the minute, it seems to have been zapped out of that Arsenal forward line. And obviously...
And this is the thing, Errol. We didn't want to change of system. We wanted strength in depth, and we wanted there to be the same 11 that we had last season, other than Declan Rice ahead of Xhaka, and then you bring on the strength in depth. I don't mind Havertz coming on. I don't mind Trossard, Smith Rowe, Tomiyasu, Jorginho, all these guys coming on, plus added to the players that we still need to buy, in my opinion, in 4 days if we want to really seriously challenge for the title. But actually changing the whole system is a nonsense. So we saw it at the back end of last season with Kivior playing at left back against Forest, Partey playing at right back against Forest. We lost 1-0. It didn't work. It was a shambles. So it's really bizarre for me. And, I wanted to bring Billy and Dan in. I'll bring Dan in last because I know we've got Man United next. Billy, I know you liked Arsenal last season and you thought that we were going to give it a good go. Are you shocked to see this new system? Because it's not that Arsenal were losing games. We just haven't looked the same Arsenal for me. So I wanted to get your points on that, Billy.
I think, I did like Arsenal last season. I think this season, it is a case of trying to kind of play around the injuries with Zinchenko and stuff like that. But I don't think there's the need to go as severe as what it has been. I think against Palace, you still played some really nice football at times, and you still are capable of playing that football. But at the minute, it just feels like you're just trying to shoehorn Havertz in. It feels like that's Arteta's big signing that he knows is a little bit make or break, and he's just trying to just do something for me, like prove the haters wrong kind of thing. He just isn't that player, You don't know where his best position is. You're trying to play him as that false nine striker. He's not that. He got his best football in that 10 position at Bayer Leverkusen when he was able to make things kind of happen around him. And it doesn't make sense, that transfer, because you've got Odegaard to do that for you. I can understand bringing in more strength in depth and wanting to do that, but you don't do that with a £65 million player. And as we've mentioned before, it's just such a huge risk to take Havertz on and give Chelsea, of all teams, that money to then splurge on what they're doing. And for Arteta to have this risk, I know it's a debate that we've had before. And it just feels like he's trying to shoehorn him in. I think Nketiah, when Jesus is out, for the time being, he needs to be that number 9. He's the goal scorer, as he proved against who was it? Fulham. He comes on, he scores a goal, I think, didn't he? He makes things happen because he's a number 9. That's what he does. If you think he's good enough when Jesus isn't out, that's one thing, but he's a goal scorer. He's a number 9, and that's the position that you need consistency in. That front line, it's all good and well having the Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka behind him. And when Jesus isn't out, you need that focal point, and Havertz isn't that. I don't understand what Havertz is doing, and it just seems as if Arteta's kind of trying to shoehorn Havertz into
Billy,
it.
he's got to make it work, hasn't he? He's got to make it work.
He has got to make it work.
£55 million.
But you need to make it work without damaging the rest of the squad.
And I wouldn't even
I'm with you.
about it being £65 million. You spent nearly 80 million on Pepe. You didn't fucking make that work, and you just got on with it, and you just struck it up as a lost asset. So there is a way out in those situations. If it's not working, it's about not being prideful. Will Arteta be big enough man to look himself in the mirror and say, actually,
that's the question.
I got that call wrong. And as I say, you've heard it from me, Potts, a number of times.
Yeah,
I don't think Havertz is a bad player. It's just about how you're going to utilize him to get the most out of him, and how he can offer the most for this team. Was he a player that deserves to come straight into your 11 based on where your 11 was last year and based on how he finished his time with Chelsea? No, he should have been made to earn that squad. It wasn't like God's given right. He's quality enough to upset somebody else in that midfield or something. So for me, him coming in off the bench and having impact and playing games and replacing Odegaard's minutes towards the latter half of games to play that creative role that Billy's just said would have made more sense, because at least then when you do get your chance, if you take it, then you earn the opportunity to bed yourself into that 11. It's just right now he looks like he's put all his chips in on Havertz early doors. And it's a case of, well, how long do you let this run its course before you either admit it's wrong, it's not working, or you end up having to put him on the bench? And then what does that look like? How does he get himself back into the team once he's lost the faith of the manager?
But Arteta's got that twice here, hasn't he? Because he's got it with the back four. He's going to have to retract I think, judging by what Arsenal fans are saying, they want him to retract and get back to the back four we had last season. Yeah. And then he's going to have to retract with the Havertz thing. And I kind of feel like that's a pressure that Arteta shouldn't really be getting himself into so early on into a season where a lot was expected of Arsenal to, kind of like I was with United. I wanted United to bridge the gap with Arsenal this season. Not going to happen, by the way. But this season, I think a lot of Arsenal fans wanted that gap bridged between City. And it's needless changes that have been made, I think, when it didn't need to. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I know I said last week about making sure you evolve with the Premier League, but your back four last season did really well. So I can't understand why all of a sudden Partey's a right back. I can't understand the decisions behind that. But with Arteta, I think you've got a manager kind of like Ten Hag, stubborn and won't accept and will carry on ploughing what he wants to do.
Listen, I mean, something's got to change, because I don't think that system is working. And I understand against Forest and Palace it looked good because we were grinding out results. But this is Palace, Forest and Fulham. 3 easy winnable games for the title winners.
Now that Lawless is gone, I think it is quite safe to admit that you did have a favourable run of those opening fixtures.
Mate, 3 easy wins. But it hasn't been that way. Now, don't get me wrong, we've only dropped points to Fulham. It's not like we haven't been able to beat the 3 of them. But we haven't convincingly beat any of them. Last season, we beat Forest 5-0 at the Emirates. This season, we scraped over the line 2-1. Against Palace, We won 2-0 convincingly last season. They hardly got a sniff. I think they had one shot, which looked like they could have scored. This season, we beat them with 10 men, 1-0. We were hanging on at the end. Fulham, we beat 2-1 last season. Yeah, it was in the last minute, but we deserved to beat them. We gave away a stupid goal like we did this season. This time, we could have quite easily lost that game if it weren't for Ramsdale at the end with Traore. So this system is apparently supposed to allow us to be more controlled in possession. That's the only thing it's doing. It doesn't allow us to attack more. It doesn't allow us to be more solid at the back. It doesn't allow the midfield to get together because everybody's crying out to see what I think would be probably one of the best midfielders in the league in Bryce, Partey and Ødegaard. I think a lot of teams would be very jealous of those three. That's a very good midfield, right? Not anybody in this panel would say that's a poor midfield. It'd probably be the best midfield out of everyone on this panel anyway. So we're not seeing it. Partey's a right back. So I need to see it changed. If Zinchenko comes in at left back, Gabriel back at left centre back, obviously you can keep the goalkeeper and the other two the same. Partey can't be right back. It's got to be Ben White. And then have Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, Saka, Martinelli. And if Jesus is back, then you play Jesus. That's our best 11. Everybody knows that's our best 11. And everybody seeing that team, I'm sure Dan United will see that team and go, oh, crikey. If that team at the moment is Havertz, Partey at right back, Ben White at right centre back, Gabriel out, Dan United and his fans are going to go, come on then, let's have some of that, because they couldn't convincingly beat Fulham, Palace or Forest. So let's have some of it. So I'm worried, man. I don't think it's a title race. I think we'll go for top 4 if this is the case. If this is his system, I don't think it's going to be getting better with Kai Havertz in the side. I think he needs to be dropped out of it and played as a rotation player, as a sub player. That's what I think. Because he's now all of a sudden ahead of Smith Rowe. He's no better than him, but he's ahead of him. He's no better than Fabio Vieira, come on and changed the game, by the way, who I've not been a fan of, but was brilliant when he came on. He's ahead of him now. He's ahead of Trossard. He's ahead of Eddie, it seems, because Eddie missed out the weekend for Havertz. So he's ahead of about 4 or 5 players, and he hasn't scored yet. So I need to see more, man. I need to see more from Havertz. Dan, what are you saying for this one? And the touch on United coming to the Emirates as well, man.
Oh, you'll beat us 3-1 the weekend. 3-1. United with their away record, I think we could look. I'm not stupid. Our away record is horrendous. We don't seem to have the stones to play away at the moment. As bad as Arsenal, the direction that we're all talking about here, Arsenal will be fine against United. We're still, I mean, fucking hell, come on. We were talking earlier this week, well, at the weekend, of United bringing in Ryan fucking Bertrand as an emergency left back cover. We have got so many issues. I've seen, like, obviously the players we've been linked with this week. Yet again, madness. Silly season. I don't see us causing you too much of a problem. Obviously, it looks like Højlund's going to be ready for Sunday, which would be a massive bonus. Because if I'm honest, Martial at the weekend, I don't know if any of you saw it. He looked overweight. He looked slow. His terrible, attitude was poor. I think the only thing positive that come from last weekend was obviously chucking Rashford out on that left, where he created stuff. He did what we want him to do, which is be on that left, drive at the opposition and do things. Anthony, actually, I'm going to say this surprisingly, second half was okay. And the reason he was
what? That's probably one of his better games, Anthony.
Yeah. But do you know what it was, though, Potts? Because going to the byline using his right fucking foot. If I'm Ten Hag, I'm telling him, right, everyone's expecting you to cut back on your left. Use your right foot more. I'm not saying he was world beaten. I still don't think he's good enough to play for Man United. But I think you'll have too much for us at the weekend, mate. I honestly do. Whereas your issues can be fixed quite easily. United's at the moment seem to be getting worse and worse. Sure, right till
what though, Dan? Your Mount injury could actually improve your midfield. Because Eriksen needs to play for me, and Bruno and Eriksen and obviously Casemiro. I think if we play this system, that could worry Arsenal in midfield. I think
Casemiro was a bit better at the weekend. I think he worked a little bit better having Eriksen there. We saw a bit, we saw shades of Casemiro from last season. But there's no hiding from the fact 2-0 down in the first 5 minutes at home to Nottingham Forest. And that isn't a dig at Nottingham Forest. I thought Nottingham Forest come with a great game plan, to be honest. Was a joke. I mean, again, VAR, I don't think that was a red card with Forest. I thought the other guy could have got across. I don't think he was the last man there. The penalty was a penalty. Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But I saw a stat that's so worrying for Manchester United. United now are the team that have come from 2 goals behind the most to win a game 13 times. That's not a stat that you shouldn't be 2-0 down at home to Forest. again, I think we were left with more questions than answers. We got out of jail.
What's Onana doing? What's Onana doing, bro?
Mate, he was having a lie down. He was having a lie down. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. And again, I go with Onana. There's this. We bought him as a sweeper keeper. There was a moment in the second half. Lindelof is running towards him, going, "Come out, get the ball," and he's just on his line. I don't know what it is. I mean, we all know the Premier League's a different beast to Italy, to Germany, places like that. But there's a lot more that needs. There's a lot more that needs sorting at Manchester United. And yet again, we are going into. We've got 4 days left of the transfer window. There's going to be these signings that are going to come in, and maybe it'll get us out of jail. But we shouldn't be relying on an end of transfer window signing to get us out of jail. This should have been addressed at the start of the season.
It's mad. I think, I'll say the same thing to Potter. Really. I think, Billy, for the most part, your team's business has been done consistently throughout the summer. But do you two at the top there not agree? As a Liverpool fan, I think any players that come in now, they weren't part of the plans.
100%.
For me, for all of our clubs, like, no matter how much we say, we want reinforcements, and you operate up until deadline day. If you're bringing in players in the last 5 days of the window, they weren't your targets.
They're panic buys now.
Yeah, they're panic
buys. Well,
look,
Man United are linked with some crazy names. Liverpool are desperate for a defensive midfielder. Arsenal have spent 225 million, I think it is, and have actually only strengthened Declan Rice because Timber's now out injured. Havertz is not better than what we've got in Vieira and Smith Rowe at the moment. And Tim's it. We've got David Raya in, but we're probably not going to see him. But obviously, that's an upgrade on Turner. But Arsenal are going for a title apparently, and they've only upgraded on Declan Rice.
And you lost Xhaka. You lost Xhaka as well.
And we lost Xhaka. So it's not even like we've got extra midfielders. We just got one for one, like for like. I wanted a defender. We got one in. He got injured, right? So we might need another. They're saying that we might try and do something there now. I wanted Rice and another one as well as an attacking midfielder. We got the attacker in Havertz. I wanted Maddison. We went for Havertz, whatever reason. Got Rice. We lost Xhaka, so I wanted one more. We haven't seen one come in. I need a centre forward or a forward of some kind because Saka's playing 82 games in a row and Jesus can't keep fit. And for me, Havertz, Trossard, and Nketiah, there's no given. Eddie's probably the one who deserves it at the moment because he's actually putting the ball in the back of the net. But that's not sustainable. We saw that for the last 2 years. They weren't nowhere near a title level. So I'm sitting there at the moment thinking, if Saliba gets injured, or if Rice gets injured, or if Saka or Jesus gets injured, that's 4 players there that cannot get injured for Arsenal this season. If one of those goes, we're screwed. And do you know what's even worse? In January, Tomiyasu and Partey are gone because it's the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations. So we're even shorter there as well. So I'm sorry, man. We've got to be looking at this window and thinking, actually, have Arsenal had a great window? Because I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10, and everyone else giving it a 9 because we finally spent money on Declan Rice. Come on, man. Be real. We're miles ahead behind Man City still. Miles. This isn't going to be close at the moment this season. This is going to be Man City, goodbye, everyone else trying to catch up again.
100%.
It's madness, 100%. Man. It's madness.
Man City's going to do with Chelsea this year. When Chelsea just go on one of the mad ones and have the league wrapped up by Kimbo. That's what we're all in danger of.
I hope not, man. But it's looking like that, man. It's looking like that. Let's do some predictions before we wrap up. Let's start with Billy and Errol because you've got each other. Go on, Billy.
You put me on the spot now after me getting a bit over the top earlier.
Mate, if you were struggling against Hibs, then God knows what you're thinking here.
I'm going to go with a 1-1. I think there's an option or an opportunity, should I say, sorry, for both teams to win. I think Watkins and Diaby up against Matip and Gomez, with Trent getting up bombing on, with Robertson bombing on. I think we've seen it previously with Watkins. I think there's an opportunity for us to get him behind there and cause Liverpool problems.
So do I.
And if we can control the ball as well as what we have done previously, I do think we have got a chance there. However, Liverpool's attacking options, like we've mentioned several times, Nunez looking... it couldn't have come at a worse time for Villa.
Nunez is looking sexy. He's looking sexy.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's going to be tough for us, but if we control the defensive line, let Nunez make his runs, keep that offside trap strong. I think we can definitely come away with something. Like I say, it's going to be very, very tough, and Liverpool at Liverpool at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's why I think Liverpool will win. But I do think Villa will go there and give it their all. And I do agree with Billy. I think Watkins and, to be fair, all of what Villa have got going forward can still cause Liverpool problems. Errol, what are you going with, bruv?
I'm going to go for a 2-1. I'm still not giving Liverpool clean sheets. And I feel I'll because Alisson's the best keeper in the league by far. So the fact that he's not going to be in the conversation for a golden boot or golden glove is just sheerly down to the shit defensive line in front of him. But he is an absolute quality goalkeeper. Unfortunately, we're going to concede a lot of goals, sloppy goals, silly goals, individual errors. That's going to be part of Liverpool's, I don't want to say the whole season because I don't want to write us off in that way, but there's going to be a large part of this early exchanges where we're going to have to get used to that. I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think Darwin's going to score, and I think Salah is going to step up again for us next week. So I think we will nick it, and obviously then look to go into the international break within touching distance of City.
What I will say quickly, I think it's make or break if Martinez is back or not. I think he should be. Emery's saying that it was a small injury, and in the next few days he should be back. Didn't want to confirm for Hibs, didn't want to confirm for Liverpool. I'm hopeful that we'll just give him the full week's rest and he'll be ready to go for Liverpool. But if we've got Olsen in it, it's just a complete and utter write-off. You've won the game, 100%.
Gomez and Matip haven't got a very good history at the back. They're not. There's mistakes.
They stepped up. There's mistakes in there, undoubtedly, but they stepped up this weekend, mate. Against a team where you fancied Newcastle's forwards to have caused them more problems. I'm not to say they didn't cause us any, but to cause us more problems and really put those two players under the cosh, especially. I was bricking it. Genuinely,
Matip has been one of the most underrated Liverpool players for a long time, but of late, people are questioning it. Gomez, I've never quite got it. If I'm honest, he had a really good year when he won the league. Thought he was exceptional alongside Van Dijk. But Liverpool will always have issues at the back, in my opinion, at the moment, until you change things. But going forward, man, I rate you. I rate you a lot. So I think you're going to score goals, man. I've got Liverpool winning this one. Dan, to wrap up, Arsenal United. Did you say 3 Arsenal? You staying by that?
Staying with it, mate. 3-1 Arsenal. I'm not going into this with... I hate that as well. Being a United fan, I hate saying that we're going to lose, but our away record is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. If we turn up... If we turn up and start like we did against Forest, you'll be out of sight by half time. Simple as that. There needs to be control in this game. We need to go into this game and fucking bring ourselves to the party, because you guys, I'd much rather have the problems you've got at the moment than the problems we've got. Simple as that. Højlund will be a boost. Whether he starts him or not is another thing. He hasn't played a minute for us yet. He's only back into training, so I'm not so sure. But I'm gearing myself up for a 3-1 in hopes that it's like a Lawless and Maz special. And I'm here next week saying, "Oh, I knew it." But I think you'll have too much for us. I really do.
If we play this system, I'm going to go 2-2. If we revert back, I'm going to go for an Arsenal win, and I think we'll win 2-1. But I do not believe that we're going to, because I think he's stubborn. I think he's going to stick with it. I expect to see Havertz playing. I expect to see similar players to what we've seen in the last few games, and I think Man United will be fine with that, and I think it will be a draw. I can't see us winning. Big shame. Listen, big up everyone, man. Big up all of you guys for coming on. Make sure you do us all a favor. Once you've liked this, once you've subscribed to this, get us up to 12K quickly as you can. We're almost there. Make sure you go over to Total Screamers Podcast and subscribe to Billy on AV, Billy on socials. Make sure you do the same thing with Dan and United First on TikTok and, of course, Twitter. And make sure you do the same with Solitaire Side Up and Errol on Redmen TV. If you could do the same with West Ham Fan TV for Lawless, Seagull Social for Maz, Loaded Mag, NUFC as well for Pete. And, of course, it's LB who couldn't be with us tonight. Big up, everyone. Make sure you like as you come out. If you do fancy a bet and you have done a weekend, or you already are part of Bread and Honey Bets, please get involved, man. These guys literally allow you to see their bets for a very small minimum fee. And it's been absolutely superb for myself and a few people that I know that have got involved. So if you do like a bet, obviously bet responsibly, as Ray Winston would say, but make sure you get involved with these people. Link in the description. We're out of here. Take it easy. Yes, people, listen up. Do you want an easy way to make money? Check out Bread and Honey Bets now. With an incredible win ratio, do not miss this chance. This is highly recommended by myself after a very successful win ratio. With betting tips from professionals on your favourite sports such as boxing, MMA, Formula 1 and football. Check it out for yourself for only £10 a month with guaranteed return on investment. Check out Bread and Honey Bets now on the Patreon or follow the link in the description. Check it out, people.